All right, the next step on the build of the Bullet Bobby XXL will be to add our rail buttons. So before I do that, I was looking at the tube and I've decided I'm going to go ahead and fill in the grooves on the tube because some of them are pretty pronounced. You can actually see them on the camera. So just high level, what I do is I have some watered down, this is the, I forgot what it's called. It's the wood filler from Elmer's. And I just water it down in the container itself. I'm using a dull X-Acto knife. And I just put some on the blade. And basically just put it into the groove. And this Elmer's wood filler is pretty grainy. And I don't think it used to be like that from what I've seen. But once I have some on there like this, I take just a razor blade and I just pull against with the blade tilting away. And then I'll get some extra and then I'll just come back and I can put that back on. And I just spread that again with the knife. And just push it into that groove. And then take the blade and just draw it across like this. And it fills it in pretty nice. So I'll just finish doing the tube like that and then we'll come back. I've filled in the grooves on the body tube and sanded it down, and I sanded the entire tube. They filled in pretty good. The wrap is a little bit uneven, so I had some grooves that were wider and some that were much more narrow that didn't even need to be filled. But this big groove, it's still visible, but it's actually filled in. So we're going to go ahead and draw our line for our rail guides. And basically, you just put a line in the middle. So I've just got a ruler here. It's 5 3/4 is the distance between the two fins. I'm going to make a mark at the 2 7/8 section. And then I'll take my angle iron here and we're just going to draw a line all the way up the tube. Let's make that line. All right, so for our rail buttons, we want to make a cross at 1.5 inches and then 9 inches from the end. So let's take this ruler here and I'll do, so we have 9 right here. This will be the forward rail button, and then 1.5 right here, which will be our aft rail button. So we're going to drill some holes right here, and 3/16 holes. So let me get the drill and drill bits. So I'm going to start by drilling a 1/16 pilot hole and then come back with a 3/16. Now I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to just kind of clean out the holes a little bit. There's one. And there's 2. All right, so those fit real nice. So I'm going to install these using some epoxy putty or epoxy clay. So I'm going to get that prepped up and ready to go. All right, so I've mixed up some epoxy sculpt, and I've rolled it out and made these small little, I call them little snakes. And we're just going to do, all we're going to do is we're going to wrap this around the rail button. Like this. And now we've got a nice bit of epoxy below the shaft of the rail button, and then we're just going to smash that in. And we want to smash it until it is flat against the body tube. So if I can get this on the camera, you can see how it's pushed out that epoxy. And so I'll do the same thing for the other one. So they're both of the rail buttons are installed from the back, and now we're going to take my remaining epoxy, and I may need to mix a little bit more, and we're pretty much just going to cover the back and just smooth it out real good. Both the rail buttons are now installed. I'm just letting the epoxy cure for a little bit before moving on. I went ahead and put the buttons on and tightened them down, and what that does is that pulls the weld nut flush against the body tube as much as possible, so that the epoxy lays pretty flat against the body tube.